Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into a topic that's reshaping how businesses in Amsterdam, and frankly across Europe, handle customer service. We're talking about AI Chatbot Voice Agents for enterprise customer service. Sam, this feels like one of those technologies that's moved from nice to have to absolutely essential pretty quickly.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is the timing. The EUAI Act is coming into force, compliance requirements are getting stricter, and Dutch enterprises are facing this perfect storm of rising labor costs, multilingual customer bases, and intense pressure for 24/7 availability. Voice agents aren't just a convenience anymore, they're becoming a strategic necessity.
Let's start with the business case. I saw some pretty compelling numbers in the research. What are we actually talking about in terms of cost reduction and impact?
So according to Gartner's 2024 data, we're looking at AI voice agents handling 60 to 70% of routine inquiries without any human involvement. That translates to a 40 to 50% reduction in per-contact costs. But here's what's often missed. It's not just about cost. First contact resolution rates jump by 30 to 35% when these systems are properly trained and monitored. That's the real win.
So you're not just saving money on labor, you're actually improving the customer experience at the same time. That's the holy grail of business operations, isn't it?
Precisely. And in Amsterdam specifically, where you've got fintech companies, logistics firms, e-commerce players, and professional services all competing for talent and customer loyalty, voice agents solve a unique problem. They deliver 24/7 multilingual support without you having to proportionally scale your headcount. Imagine handling a Dutch customer, then an English speaker, then someone calling in German, all with contextually appropriate natural responses.
That multilingual capability is huge. I imagine that's a massive advantage for international businesses. But I'm curious, how is a voice agent fundamentally different from a text-based chatbot? Why does voice matter so much?
Great question. Voice agents can process natural speech patterns, handle accent variations, and actually detect emotional subtext. When someone's frustrated about a billing issue, a voice agent picks up on that tone and urgency in ways a text interface just can't. Harvard Business Review published research showing that voice-based interactions generate 18% higher satisfaction scores compared to chat-only systems, especially in high-stakes scenarios like account changes or technical problems.
It's almost like the difference between a text message and actually hearing someone's voice. You get so much more information. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room: compliance. The EUAI Act is coming, and I know this is a big deal for Amsterdam-based companies.
This is where it gets interesting strategically. Most companies see regulation as a headwind, but for forward-thinking Dutch enterprises, EUAI Act compliance is becoming a competitive moat. Voice agents fall under high-risk AI systems when they're making decisions that affect employment, credit, or essential services. That means you need transparent disclosures, documented bias audits, human oversight mechanisms, EU data residency, and explainability records.
That sounds like a lot of boxes to check. How expensive is that compliance burden for businesses?
It depends on how you approach it. If you bolt compliance on after the fact, it's expensive and messy. But if you build it in from the ground up, what we call an AI-led architecture framework, you're actually ahead of the curve. You get defensibility against regulatory scrutiny, customer trust becomes a differentiator, and you're not scrambling when enforcement happens. And enforcement is happening. Companies using non-compliant systems are already facing pushback.
So Amsterdam enterprises that get this right early gain a real advantage. Let's shift gears a bit. What does success actually look like when you deploy these systems? How do you measure ROI?
ROI measurement depends on your baseline. For contact centers, you're tracking per-contact costs, average handle time, customer satisfaction scores, and first contact resolution. But you also want to measure human agent productivity. Do specialists spend less time on routine work and more time on complex, high-value interactions? And crucially, you're measuring what we call voice agent utilization. how much of your inbound volume is actually handled without escalation.
That's a really important point you made earlier. Voice agents don't replace people. They amplify human teams. Can you expand on that?
Right. The real value unlocks when your support specialists aren't wasting energy on "what's my account balanced" calls. They're handling the complex disputes, the strategic customer relationship conversations, the cases where human judgment and empathy actually matter. Voice agents become a force multiplier for your best people. You're not laying off your team, you're redeploying them to higher value work.
That's probably a much easier conversation to have internally than we're replacing people with AI. Now, thinking about implementation, what's the biggest challenge you see Dutch enterprises facing when they try to roll out voice agents?
Integration is the killer. Your voice agent needs to talk to your CRM, your billing system, your knowledge base, your ticketing platform. Many generic chatbot vendors don't have enterprise-grade integration capabilities, and that's where projects stall. You end up with a fancy voice interface that can't actually access customer data or resolve issues without escalation. For Amsterdam companies, you also need vendors who understand Dutch regulatory nuances and can support multilingual interactions without degrading performance.
So picking the right vendor is critical. Are there red flags people should watch out for?
Absolutely. Be skeptical of any vendor who treats compliance as an add-on rather than a core feature. If they can't explain their bias audit process or data residency approach in detail, move on. Also watch for vendors who oversell accuracy metrics without discussing real-world performance in multilingual, accent-diverse environments. And finally, if they don't have strong human escalation workflows and oversight mechanisms, they haven't thought about enterprise deployment.
Really practical guidance. So if someone's listening and thinking, okay, I work for an Amsterdam-based company, or I'm in a similar European context, where do I actually start?
Start with a clear baseline. What percentage of your inbound volume is routine, deflectable inquiries? What's your current per-contact cost? And what's your customer satisfaction score? Then pilot voice agents on that deflectable volume with a vendor who can handle EUAI Act compliance. Measure aggressively, handle time, satisfaction, escalation rate, cost savings. And don't skip the integration testing. That's where most projects either prove their value or fail spectacularly.
Measure, integrate thoughtfully, and think about compliance from day one. I think that's a really solid framework for getting started. Sam, final thought. Where do you see voice agents going in the next 2-3 years?
I think we're moving toward voice agents that are more contextually intelligent and genuinely proactive. Instead of just responding to inbound calls, they'll reach out to customers with personalized support before problems occur. And the compliance piece will separate winners from losers. Companies that embrace EUAI Act standards early will have a moat. The generic, non-compliant solutions will face enforcement pressure and lose trust.
Proactive, compliant, and contextually aware. That's a compelling vision. Sam, thanks for breaking this down. Listeners, if you want to dig deeper into voice agents for enterprise customer service, including specific case studies, ROI frameworks, and compliance checklists, head over to EtherLink AI and check out the full article. We've got all the details there. Thanks for tuning in to EtherLink AI Insights. See you next time.
Thanks, Alex. Great conversation.